Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. It's Sunday, the post-game of Torino 0, Juventus 0, but I will tell you even more. Derby della Mole 0, because that's what we are speaking about. Of course, I'm still angry. And after a few hours, after sleeping a bit, we'll analyze the disaster of yesterday, because again, it was a disaster for a lot of things. Mediocrity, that's the word of today's video. I want to start with something super important, which makes me even more angry. The words of Cristiano Giuntoli before the Derby della Mole, and I will close again with the words of Cristiano Giuntoli, so it will be a kind of loop video. What makes me extremely angry, even more than the performance or non-performance of yesterday, is that before the game, Cristiano Giuntoli is repeating what I said before the game, in pre-game. I said, I would love that we win for a simple reason. Because we will be able to go to the door of Cristiano Giuntoli at his office, knocking and telling him, Cristiano, we bring you 3 points that are getting us closer to Champions League, so we are there. You can already start your strategy. You can already start working on the season 24-25. Well, yesterday, not winning gets us further away, or we will have to be even more patient before Cristiano Giuntoli working. And that's what he's saying before the game to the microphones of DAZN. He's saying it's difficult to start planning the season. It's difficult to start working because our budget will be defined by the yes or no qualification to Champions League, but also from the sales that we will be able or not to do. We are in a difficult moment now. At the moment, we are starting again, but we will need to be patient. These are the words of Cristiano Giuntoli. We didn't give him that victory. We didn't give him that victory yesterday. So we'll have to wait. We'll have to wait. We'll again wait and speculate on some names. Maybe yes, maybe no. Maximum of like if you didn't yet, please continue to subscribe to the channel, because now we start with the front pages that are telling us a story, and from there we start with the analyze of the game, especially for the people that love tactic. We'll speak also about tactic. Corriere dello Sport, Juve danno zero. Juventus, nobody gets hurt, if we want to translate it. Literally it means Juve hurts zero, because Juventus didn't hurt themselves after the draw. Not because of Juventus, not because of Torino, not because we didn't concede a goal, but because of the game after the one of the derby. Because of Bologna doing 0-0 against Monza, that remains at -4. So we get closer to the end of the season. They don't win. We don't win, thanks to the fact that we won last week and they didn't win. Well, we keep that gap, waiting for the games of Roma that will play away against Udinese, waiting for Atalanta to understand what they will do for against Verona. But after that Saturday, Juventus don't get hurt, more because of thanks to Bologna than thanks to Juve themselves. But I agree even more, or I don't agree that much, because I was hurt. I was hurt. If they are telling me nobody gets hurt, me, Beppe, I was hurt of the performance of yesterday. I agree more with the title of Tuttosport that is telling me Derby Zero, that I already used a bit earlier in the intro, because that's what we saw yesterday. Zero Derby. Gazzetta dello Sport is telling us Derby, manca il gol. Derby, the goal was missing. And no. It is not only the goal that was missing, there was much more that was missing. I want to paraphrase the text that I read from Guido Vassiago, director of Tuttosport, that said, the mediocrity is killing the enthusiasm. And that's the reality. The performance or non-performance of yesterday, it was mediocre in a lot of aspects. And it's killing the enthusiasm. I'm reading you. I'm feeling exactly the same. It is not fun. It is not nice. Guys, yesterday it was slow, it was boring, there was no intensity, there was no heart. Yesterday I have chosen for Federico Gatti to represent that will of going and winning a derby. Well, they disappointed me. The thing that I was asking, they disappointed me, because they didn't give me what I was asking. There was no passion. Look, I'm not asking for a Real Madrid against City. This is not what I'm asking. I'm not asking for Guardiolismo, De Zerbismo, Sarri ball, or Tuchel ball, or whatever ball that you want to. This is not what I'm asking for the 6 remaining games of the season. This is absolutely not what I'm asking. But I wanted one thing. I wanted our team to honor the shirt that we were playing yesterday in a derby della Mole, that I told you it's not always the qualities that are winning a derby. It is the passion that you are putting on the field. And yesterday they didn't show me that passion. They were not running. We didn't try at least to win in moments that were extremely important of the game, especially that second half, especially in some moments with some subs where we had the possibility to do something and we refused to. We refused to ball management yesterday at a certain moment while it was 0-0. We were not winning 1-0. We were not leading 2-0 and protecting the score. Yesterday there was nothing. Look, we are playing once a week, and I'm not crazy. I'm not asking for miracles to see one team that is suddenly changing in a total different team. I don't believe in fairy tales, but at least 1 week you need to be rested. You need to have that energy to run for 90 minutes, and maybe not with the intensity of that Premier League, because more you go with intensity, more the risk is big to create some mistakes, to give opportunities to the other ones, but at least running instead of walking, like we saw yesterday with a deflection at the 50th minute when you just come back from the locker room. That ball that is going towards the throw-in for Torino. Nobody is running except of the players of Torino with Bellanova that is recuperating that ball. And then we are late. We are late because we walled, because we not unmark ourselves. It was a total disaster yesterday. And it is not because of tactics. It is absolutely not because of tactics. It's not because we didn't prepare the game, because we prepared the game. Yesterday we saw a total different Juventus, especially in the first half, than the one that we saw against Fiorentina. Yesterday we saw another Juventus. Look at just the stats of the midfielders. Locatelli yesterday after the end of the game touched 80 times the ball. Adrien Rabiot 72. And then you have a Weston McKennie 41. It's a total different way of playing than the one that we played against Fiorentina. Because look at the stats against Fiorentina from our midfielders. Well, Locatelli was the last midfielder to touch most balls with 21. McKennie 30. Rabiot 27. It's day and night of way of playing. There was another idea of playing football yesterday in that first half, because you know I always try to analyze the 90 minutes and not only that last emotional part. In 90 minutes we saw that tacticism, so in theory we tried something different. It was not a 3-5-2. Yes, on paper it looks like a 3-5-2, but we didn't play a 3-5-2. If you are looking what we did yesterday, and that's where we entered the tactic in that first half, we play with a 4-man defense made of Kostic super high as a left back, Gatti super high as a right back, Danilo and Bremer. With Locatelli, that was the one that in need was tracking back to former 3-man defense with Danilo and Bremer. That was the role of Locatelli yesterday. He was always available, always there to receive that ball. Then you had Rabiot and Cambiaso that were in the midfield, because Cambiaso was doing that movement. Cambiaso, so Locatelli tracking back, Cambiaso from the right side, entering, give space to Gatti, but also especially space to McKennie to go up. So it's a kind of 4-man defense, 3 midfielders with McKennie that is on number 10 behind Chiesa and Dusan Vlahovic. And you see that green square. That's how Juventus played yesterday. We can even say that they played a kind of 4-2-3-1 if we want to, with Cambiaso that was, yes, a bit more as a mezzala, but an offensive mezzala, if we want to really say what we saw, especially in the first 30 minutes of the game. Still always attacking centrally. After 15 minutes, 20 minutes, we saw Juventus with 50% of the attacks that were central. So it was a different Juventus yesterday. And we saw it also with the stats. 1.01 in terms of expected goals, where we are not risking. Torino 0.11. Again, what we did against Fiorentina at that first half. You remember where we scored 4 goals, 3 were correctly cancelled. We see a Juventus that is trying a different way of playing, but trying to win a game. And yesterday we had occasions with Dusan Vlahovic twice, huge ones, big ones that he can't miss, and we will come back on the individuals on a second. Juventus that is trying something. The problem is not enough, not even enough to fill 45 minutes, far, miles away from what we saw in terms of intensity from the last few games that we saw, from other teams that we are all watching. But at least we try with some tactical ideas. What is the problem? The problem is that we have at a certain moment 15 minutes break. And these 15 minutes break, it's not the very first time that we see that Juventus is coming back and they have absolutely no intention to replicate at least what we were doing on the field. But especially not in terms of motivation, in terms of grinta, in terms of going. It looks like we did our job for 30, 35 minutes, we scored 1 goal or we didn't score a goal, and it's over. and it's over, and it will probably happen with a Magic. And this is not the behavior that we are asking in a derby. This is not the behavior that we are asking in whatever game that we are playing. We need to run for at least 90 minutes, which we didn't. Look at that second half. Torino, they understood what I was already anticipating, because I didn't need Harvard diploma to understand how we were playing yesterday. They understood it immediately. They changed a few things, but especially Juric, he said, we have the big opportunity to write history here, to win a derby after so many years. We have really the opportunity against the Juventus that is doing something okay in terms of tacticism. They had a few occasions, but they are not able to score, and they don't have the will of run, and they don't really show us that they really want to win the derby. We can do it. So these few changes, motivation and tactical changes of Torino, then bring them to have a 0.45. Not that they were crazy dangerous, but they were. Like Lazio was not really dangerous in that Serie A, and at the 93rd minute they score with Marusic, do you remember? Well, the same is happening here. They believe that they can do, while we don't believe anymore. 0.16 expected goal from Juventus, only 4 attempts, one of a beautiful one of Yildiz, and that's it. 2 shots on target. 2 shots on target for Torino, but 11 attempts for them. The game changed totally in that second half. Then we try. Again, I tell you, in terms of tacticism, this was absolutely not the problem, because what do we see with tacticism? That at a certain moment, towards the 60th minute, again, like we did against Fiorentina, the same 2 changes, Ealing Jr. and Kenan Yildiz. But the problem is that we are asking again to Ealing Jr. to play on all that wing, just subbing Kostic to retain, to have exactly the same pattern of playing that we were trying to play in the first 60 minutes. And it is not working. It is not working, because what do we see? Ealing Jr. is a bit scared, especially at a certain moment, because he's entering and he's about to give again a ball to Torino. Again, he was not able to pay attention defensively, and from that moment, it's always the same with Ealing Jr. He's doing one mistake because he's not concentrated enough, and then he's not daring anymore to go up. He stays in the back because he doesn't want to commit mistakes anymore. So what does that mean? That Rabiot is obliged to go a bit more on the left. Yildiz is obliged to go a bit more on the left side, and we have a problem because it's not working. So we have another, after not long, after I believe 15 minutes, again, another tactical evolution. To give Ealing the possibility to think only forward, we put Alexandro there on the left side. Cambiaso as a right back with Gatti that is going out. We play with double pivot Rabiot, Locatelli, with asking Locatelli not to track back that much anymore, with Yildiz as number 10 and McKennie that is playing on the right side. Guys, on theory, I understand perfectly the choices, the tactical changes. But again, I don't understand that when you are playing with 11 men, the same against Fiorentina, and you are asking them to change the total way of playing, then you play with the same 2 subs that didn't bring you anything because of way of playing than Fiorentina, you are doing it again. For understanding 15 minutes later that it's not working again, and you need to change again. You have the player not since this year, Ealing Jr. You have him since 2 years. It's time to understand that he can't play in a 3-5-2 or in a 4-man defense as a left back. He just can't. So you don't put him in. What could he do yesterday? Something totally different. He could have probably played with Alexandro on the left, Cambiaso on the right, because Alexandro was, according to me, a right sub. We don't speak about the player. We speak about the tactical change. Alexandro on the left, Cambiaso on the right, putting Kostic and Gatti out, Danilo Bremer in the center of defense. You play with 3 men in the midfield, and then you play with Yildiz, with Chiesa, and with Vlahovic. That should have been the right one. What is Max saying to that question? Because he received that question from journalists. Why did Juventus not play with 3 men up front? He said, yeah, I was thinking about it at a certain moment, but at the moment the team has a certain balance, and with the Champions League that is still at risk, we can't take risk in terms of doing experiments, doing new tests. I can even agree. But it's not the reality, because this is not what we saw. Against Lazio, he did an experiment going with 4 men with a De Sciglio. Do you remember? Didn't work at all. What we saw against Fiorentina, what we saw yesterday, I just show you all the new way of playing, because you can't tell me that against Fiorentina, our midfielders are not touching a ball. Against yesterday, against, I don't even remember, Torino, The game. I forgot the game that we were playing because we didn't play. Yesterday against Torino, it's only our midfielders that are touching the ball. Against Fiorentina, we play only on the wings, and then we play also in century. So we are doing tests, we are doing experiments. But what is the problem? Why are we not playing that kind of 3-4-2-1 or 4-3-2-1? We are playing it. Yesterday we played that way of playing. So it's not about playing or not playing with 4 men in defense and having a lot of offensive persons. No, the problem is that it's not the right man to play that role. Because that's the message that Max Allegri is sending to everyone. He's saying, okay, we can try something else. We can do experiments. We can even try to play with a 4-man defense and with 3 men up front. We can do it, but not with people that are only thinking about attacking. We are playing with persons in these roles that are thinking about also defending. And that's wrong in a Derby della Mole. That's wrong when you are 7 games away from the end of the season and it's probably 7 points away from qualifying to Champions League. That's wrong. That's wrong because you are sending a message to your team. Guys, I give you the trust to play a different way of playing, 4-3-3, 4-2-3, whatever. But pay attention, don't attack. Don't attack. We play with players that first are thinking about balance, first are thinking about defense instead of attacking. And that's why I was yesterday angry. Then if we speak about individuals, because now, for how long? 60 minutes of the video, we blamed the tactical choices that in theory were great, but we were not able to do it. For what reason? Because the coach was not able to motivate the guys, to tell them to run, how crucial it was, to at least make a beautiful impression, to at least honor the shirt that you were playing in. And that's all the coach to blame. But then you have the players. Again, Ealing Jr. is entering. Again, not a beautiful one. Not only the last seconds of the game where I don't know what he was doing, what he was thinking. Even the offensive side of Ealing Jr. got totally lost. He's in trouble. He doesn't know anymore what to do. Then Moiskin. Oh, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times you can give chances. But at a certain moment, if we are at the 13th of April yesterday and he didn't even score 1 goal. No. If the guy is showing you, like against Fiorentina, and again here, that he's not even able to do one of his best skills protecting the ball, we have a problem. Why should you enter him? It's not that Vlahovic is tired after playing 17 minutes per game. It's a problem. Speaking about Dusan Vlahovic, again, I knew it. I was not that much disappointed about the goal that is missing, because it's at the 7th minute, because you have an entire game to play, because you will have other occasions, other attempts. But I was disappointed and I was angry because I said, that big occasion that he's missing and that he should never miss for a striker like Dusan Vlahovic will take him out of the game. And we saw it so many times. He's missing it and then he disappears. He's not in the game anymore. And that's where Dusan Vlahovic needs to grow, and fast, because we need him. And pay attention, because for people that are thinking that changing the coach will solve all of our problems, no. And that's where we close the loop. We close the video with again the words of Cristiano Giuntoli. Our budget will be determined, will be decided by the qualification for Champions League. 1. And we need to do it fast. We need to do it extremely fast. Secondly, by the players that we will be able to sell or not. So he's already telling you, anticipating you, what I'm telling you since weeks. Pay attention, this summer there will be a lot of ins. There will be a lot of outs. And a lot of fan favorites probably will leave. Sometimes you want to sell someone, but if there are no offer, you will have to sacrifice someone that you probably didn't want to sell. So pay attention for this summer. Not only changing the coach will change all of it. He said it yesterday, Cristiano Giuntoli. We are in a difficult moment. People, they don't want to understand it. We are in a difficult moment. We are starting in, but you will need some time. That doesn't mean that you can't win next year already, but you will need some time. Other coach, same coach. And yesterday, what I'm seeing, management, when I'm seeing the coach, when I'm seeing the players, I understand that we are far from just a change to be back to win. Maximum of like if you didn't, please continue to subscribe to the channel. Grazie, forza, Juve.